Welcome, 8th graders. Today, we are diving right into a masterclass on the absolute power of persuasion. Now, if you've ever wanted to change a school rule, start a new club, or maybe just convince your parents to push back your curfew a little bit, you absolutely need this skill. But listen, here's a secret. Real persuasion, it isn't just yelling the loudest. It's actually a powerful, everyday tool that requires skill, structure, and strategy. And today, we're going to learn exactly how to master it. So think about this for a second. How do you actually change someone's mind without just starting a massive argument? We've all been there, right? Voices get raised, frustrations boil over, and suddenly no one's actually listening to each other anymore. But what if you could influence others, communicate with total confidence, and inspire real change without ever losing your cool? Well, that is what true persuasion is all about. Now, before we look at the actual mechanics of writing, we really have to start with our foundation. Colossians 4:6 tells us, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." As we learn to persuade, our goal is never to bulldoze people. No way. Our goal is to persuade with kindness, respect, and integrity. We want our words to have flavor, that's the salt, but they must always, always be delivered with grace. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our masterclass blueprint for today. 1. The power of persuasion. 2. Your rhetorical toolkit. 3. Building your paragraph. 4. Your turn to build. 5. Persuasion with integrity. And 6. The godly learner philosophy. Starting off with Section 1, the power of persuasion and why learning to persuade really matters in the real world. Moving right along to Section 2, your rhetorical toolkit. We are talking about the power tools of language here. You see, to persuade effectively, you can't just use ordinary words. You need specialized tools. We call these rhetorical devices. These are basically language techniques used to make your writing more powerful, engaging, and incredibly memorable. You're going to use these in your 8th grade essays and speeches, and honestly, in everyday conversations. Think of them as your power tools. Sure, a hammer and a handsaw will eventually build a house, but a power drill, that builds it stronger and way faster. Let's actually look at a few of these tools in action. First up, the analogy. An analogy compares two things to make a complex idea super simple. For example, a school without a garden is like a library without books. It's missing a key resource for learning. Boom! Instantly your reader understands the value of the garden. Next, look at the appeals. You need to hit both the head and the heart. An emotional and logical appeal might sound like this. A school garden can provide fresh vegetables, reduce lunch costs, and give students hands-on science experience. See what we did there? You're appealing to logic with costs and science, and then appealing to emotion with fresh, healthy food for the students. Another totally incredible tool is juxtaposition. This is when you place two contrasting ideas side by side. Think about it. On one hand, fast food fills stomachs quickly, but on the other, a garden fills both minds and bodies with lasting nourishment. By putting the cheap, quick nature of fast food right next to the lasting, healthy nourishment of a garden, the value just becomes undeniably clear. It really hits home. All right, Section 3, building your paragraph. Let's look at the builder's blueprint. Because let's be real, you wouldn't just start nailing words together without a plan, right? The exact same goes for writing. So here is your builder's blueprint. Step 1, start with a strong claim. This is your foundation. Step 2, support it with evidence. These are the walls of your house. The facts, the examples, and the logical reasons that hold up your claim. Step 3, add emotional appeal. This is what helps your audience actually connect with your argument on a human level. And Step 4, use a rhetorical device. Throw in an analogy, a contrast, or a strong call to action to make your paragraph absolutely stand out. If you follow these 4 steps, your writing is guaranteed to make your audience think, feel, and respond. But the absolutely crucial point here is getting that very first step right, the claim. Your claim must be clear, direct, and take a definitive stance. Listen to this. Every school should have a community garden. Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say, I kind of think maybe a garden would be nice if we have some extra time. No. It is bold. It's a firm foundation that tells the listener exactly what opinion you are about to prove. Which brings us to Section 4, your turn to build. Get ready for the extracurricular club challenge. Yup, it's time to hand the tools over to you. Here's your challenge for today. First, you're going to write a persuasive paragraph about why your school should add a brand new extracurricular club. Maybe it's a robotics club, a chess club, or even a drama club.
Next, you must use at least one rhetorical device, like an analogy or juxtaposition. You also need to include both an emotional and a logical appeal. When you finish, end with a strong call to action. Tell the reader exactly what they need to do next. Finally, swap your paragraph with a partner and give each other some honest feedback on how well you use these tools.
Now for Section 5, Persuasion with Integrity. We really need to talk about the ethics of influence. Before you run off to start writing, we need to pause for a second and talk about the ethics of this power. Persuasion is an incredibly powerful tool, but like they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Proverbs 12:22 tells us, "The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy." When you learn how to use emotional appeals, it can be pretty tempting to manipulate people or exaggerate just to win an argument. But as 8th graders stepping into maturity, your goal is to present the truth with absolute trustworthiness. We want to speak and write in ways that build up and guide people toward what is right. And finally, Section 6, the Godly Learner Philosophy. This is our core belief here at HeroesMart Academy. This really brings us to the core belief that drives everything we do here. HeroesMart Academy intentionally intertwines biblical morality with education for a very specific reason. Because education without morality can actually hurt. Think about it. If we just teach you how to be highly persuasive, but we don't teach you to be highly ethical, we're basically just handing you weapons. Knowledge and intelligence should help students make wise, God-honoring choices rather than simply making them more capable. We want your brilliant minds to be permanently anchored to a strong moral compass.
Romans chapter 8, verses 6 through 7 teaches this so beautifully. The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace. Keeping your mind spiritually minded is what ultimately leads to life and peace. So as you practice your writing today, I really encourage you to pursue academic excellence with everything you have, but keep your mind centered on God, on truth, on wisdom, and on righteous choices, because that is what makes a true godly learner.
So as you look at your blank page to start writing your assignment today, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative question. Will you use your knowledge just to win arguments, or will you use it to build a wiser world? You have the tools, you have the blueprint. Now go write with grace, with salt, and with absolute integrity. I honestly can't wait to read what you built.